how these randoms keep getting jobs. Don't worry about it. I'ma say, I can't wait to say it. I love it. I love it. Go.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Notbland Show. I'm your host, Dujane Bland, and today we have some great guests for you. We're going to talk some NHRA, as we always do right at the front, and we're going to talk about the Commanders. We're going to talk about some NFL blunders too, man. Really, really rough stuff. And coming right out of the gate, we've got my man, Darin Willaims Jr. He is the guy of American Hot Rod Entertainment. He is working for Competition Plus, and you can catch him every Sunday night after race day, and really the only show in town that does a post-race show inside the NHRA. Darin, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, man, and we've had you on as a guest on Inside the NHRA for a lot of episodes, and so I'm happy to now be on the great Notbland Show here tonight. So, man, I'm excited about it, and let's talk some drag racing.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, what we are looking for this weekend is going to be amazing. The weather is going to be really crisp. But what was so great today is that this here, Mission Foods decides to be the primary sponsor for the NHRA. This is a good deal.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. I definitely agree with that. And it's funny because this morning when we were texting back and forth before the show, kind of going over what we're going to talk about here today, we're like kind of confused. We're like, hey, so is Camping World re-upping as the title sponsor? Well, no, they're still going to stay on as a partner with NHRA, but just like I said, in just a partner role. And then obviously the news came out, Mission Foods is the new title sponsor of NHRA. And, for me, I mean, are we surprised? Not really. I mean, I think, when we found out Camping World was leaving after 2024, we're like, hey, is it going to be Mission Foods? Is it going to be SCAG? Is it going to be such and such? And obviously it's Mission Foods. And I'm excited about it. They've thrown a lot of money to the sport already. We have the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. They sponsor a bunch of cars like, Angel Sampé on the bike, now moving over to Top Alcohol Dragster, sponsors Gage Herrera, who's about to be your soon-to-be Pro Stock Motorcycle World Champion. So Mission Foods seem to be passionate about the sport, and let's see what they do to kind of up that, for the years to come.
Yeah, Drag Racing Mayhem, yes. Interesting news week. And I agree with you on that. It is really good to see Mission come aboard. It's even better to see Camping World extend in a partnership role.
Yes.
I always say more the merrier. I think this is a model that needs to stay in the sense that we need to have two sponsors or more to let's make that money pot a little bigger on the payouts, the little shootouts and little things that we have with the Too Fast, Too Tasty. More money for the racers to get is even better, but you have to have, partners to be able to do that with. Kind of like we had back in the Winston days where they had that money because there were so many partners involved. So that this right here is, to me, sets a precedence going forward. And hopefully through 2026 and beyond, we can have more than just one primary sponsor for this great sport.
Yeah, and honestly thought when we were searching for a new title sponsor, I'm like, can we go the NASCAR route and have the mini marketing partners like NASCAR does it? Like they have Geico, Xfinity, Coke, and Coors. I mean, Busch. Like they're the four primary sponsors. It's not just one sponsor. And it's like, I thought like, hey, maybe we may go down this route and do that business model, and with maybe a Mission Foods and a SCAG and whoever else steps up. But like I said, I'm really excited to see Mission Foods, step on board. Like I said, they seem passionate about the sport. They brung on the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge, where they, pay out money to the, the semifinalists and the finalists from the weekend before. Like I said, they sponsor a few riders already, which Camping World never done. Camping World never put their logo on and stepped up and sponsored the car.
Exactly.
Not knocking them, but Mission Foods has. And so I'm looking forward to great things. And hopefully this can, cause an increase in the purse for winning races, an increase in winning the championship and stuff like that. So I think it's a cool partnership, and I think it's in effect 2024, right? Right next year.
Yeah, next year. Next year. It is the well, we don't know if it's going to be Mission Drag Racing or Mission Foods, so we'll see. And I agree with you, Nicole. We need to have that Traxxas Butt shootout come back as well. Like I said, the more of these type of shootouts, you see what the pro is putting on, more of those type of things, even whether it's outside or inside, more opportunities for these guys to make more money is always a plus.
I'll just say this. Mission Foods makes some good tortilla chips, right? But if you're going to give away free tortilla chips at the racetrack, please bring some salsa with it, because you can't eat tortilla chips without salsa. Like, please bring
dry.
Please.
Dry.
You did that at Indy, right? They gave out free chips at Indy, and it's like no salsa with it. Like, come on, man.
And you're right, Nicole. They have great fan interaction, and that's what's important. That's what's going to draw the younger crowd in, because really that's what it's all about. I mean, I'm 43 years old, and I've been doing this and loving this since I was a kid. But we've got to reach the younger audience. That's really where it's at, whether in any sport, NFL, NBA. It's not about the old heads anymore. It's about the young people and how do we get them in. And I think they do a really good job of that.
For sure. And like you mentioned, like I said just a second ago, I mean, who are they sponsoring? Gage Herrera, your soon-to-be 2023 Pro Stock Motorcycle World Champion, up-and-coming driver, young driver. Like you said, the stuff they do back in the pits, I mean, it's really awesome to see. And like I said, I'm excited for Mission Foods to see what they do. And let's just see if they can up that, for the years to come.
Yeah, Golden Taco Championship trophy. I'm not against it. Oh, man, that would be cool. So we're going to start in Pro Stock Motorcycle. You know exactly where I'm going. So the NHRA decides that they're going to put a rule change involving weight. We know what this is about.
Yes.
Do you agree or disagree with the move?
You could wait till next year. It's 2 races left. I mean, why at this point? I mean, it's like Gage Herrera, Vance and Hines, they've done the work all year long. I mean, they've pretty much just waxed the field all year long. It's like, why do this now? It's like they've earned everything they've gotten up to this point. So I don't agree with it necessarily. I know why they're doing it, but it's 2 races left. No need for it. Just, everybody re-up next year, start over next year, and put the work in the off season and try to beat them in 2024. But do I agree with it? No, but hey, it is what it is, but at the end of the day, Gage Herrera is still going to win the championship. It's
exactly. Over. And ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you. This is garbage. They did it to Matt Smith years ago, right out of Gainesville, and he called it after he won the race. Look, I'm sick and tired of seeing the NHRA punish people for working hard. Vance and Hine has done nothing but work hard and put in the work to get to where they have been, okay? And they earn the right to lay foot on the throats of the rest of the competition. Now, all of a sudden, you ready to make a change because they're out here working day in and day out to find more horsepower? If you like I said before, if you can't do that, go do something else. This is professional drag racing. And any other pro sport, you know what they're doing? They're looking at film and they're learning how to get better, how to scheme better, how to win better, how to play better. So throwing in rules to bring back the people who are doing the hard work to be the front runners, to bring them back into the fold of guys who aren't working nearly as hard or haven't found it yet is garbage. And to be this late in the season, it makes it even more trash. So please just stop. I mean, because if that's the case, then what's the purpose of working hard? There is no purpose.
And, this rule comes in. It's a little bit, a little too late at this point. Gage Herrera has a 156-point lead on the field. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's if he gets it over 191, he wraps up the championship in Las Vegas. I think he does do it in Las Vegas. And if not, he does it after qualifying in Pomona. Hey, maybe this just the field can get a head start on 2024 so we can make sure it's a competitive year, next season. But like I said, I agree, no reason for this. 2 races left. Just like Gage Herrera, just continue to wax the field, that's all.
Yeah. And so transitioning to that, being that Drag Racing Mayhem brought this up, you got that new engine builder that has put in to hopefully be approved to start making engines for Pro Stock Motorcycle outside of Vance and Hines. What's your thought on that?
So I'm actually kind of new to this. I work all day, so I haven't heard the news on it. Can you fill me on this?
Well, I think they're called HTP. What they did was they submitted documents on basically building cases and other parts for the pro stock motorcycle class, and they want to be another basically engine builder that's involved within the sport outside of Vance and Hines. So I think it's good for the sport. More manufacturers basically of parts, then basically you can at least have some kind of balance in cost, because you have more parts, then the cost is less, and it gives people to have a choice. Like I said on the show last week, I don't believe that Vance and Hines, as Matt Smith said about it being maybe they're giving inferior parts to other people. I don't see that crew wanting to make the pro stock motorcycle class lessened, because they've taken a lot of work to get to where they are right now, to where we're seeing great action and people are actually staying in the stands to watch them. So I don't believe in that, but I am definitely okay with HTP Performance Racing coming in and wanting to have a hand in building more motors and more parts.
Yeah, for sure. And it just gives these racers another option to go down. I have no problem with that whatsoever. And just going back on the Vance and Hines deals, Vance and Hines has been helping out a lot of riders in the class for a very long time, giving them the best parts, tune-ups, and everything like that. So I definitely agree with you on that part. But hey, another engine builder in the class, another option to go down, more competition. I'm all for it.
Absolutely. And Kelly Klontz is a prime example of what Vance and Hines has been doing.
Exactly.
What she put on last week was phenomenal. Running at 201, got into the 200 club. I mean, there's no question that they're giving their all to everyone who has their parts and uses their equipment. So I definitely agree. There's no way that they would do anything like that.
She's from your part of the country, right? Kelly Klontz.
Yeah.
Nice.
From my home county. Oh man, it's fun to watch her do that. So we're coming into this weekend and the weather conditions are crispy, let's say, and very much like what we had 2 weeks ago. Is this another race where we see big ETs and big speeds?
Oh, for sure. And Las Vegas Fall is always a fun race. And just in general, Las Vegas Fall, it's always dramatic. It's always intense. Why? Because it's the lead up. It sets the stage for the final race of the season in Pomona. This is one of my favorite races on the tour. Like it's always dramatic. And in all three categories, aside from pro stock motorcycle, you got pro stock, funny car, top fuel. We're going to see some heavy hitters go out early. We see that every year. Somebody's going to go in tight. Somebody's going to go out early. But for sure, cool conditions out there in Las Vegas. We're going to see big time speeds. Remember Brittany with that 338 back in 2019, where she, just laid it on them a few years ago with that 338 pass. And then actually she went 338 again last year in the final round of the 4-wide. So Las Vegas has produced some big time speeds over the year. And I think we're going to see the same here this weekend. It's going to be a fun event.
I'm looking forward to it. These cool conditions and these crew chiefs, man, they're just licking their chops at this whole thing. And to speak of crew chiefs and speak of teams, TSR is coming in with a lot of momentum after doubling up 2 weeks ago. You think they can carry that momentum into Vegas here?
For sure. Well, here's the thing. So Matt Hagan coming off a big win last weekend out of the Stampede of Speed, or 2 weeks ago out of the Stampede of Speed. Do you know who won Las Vegas Fall last year?
I believe it was Matt Hagan.
Do you know who won the Spring Vegas race earlier this year?
That was Matt Hagan.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think they go into Las Vegas with a lot of momentum, and you got to put a lot of respect on Leah Pruitt as well. Leah Pruitt, all year long, we've talked about, Justin Ashley, of course, best car during the regular season. Steve Torrance, the most consistent, all these other cars. Leah Pruitt's been top 5 all year long. You got to put some respect on her name. And she stepped up when she needed to the most in that final round at Dallas, beating Steve Torrance on a hole shot. So she's driving good. She's hungry. And, when she's on her game, she's on her game. So they came close to doubling up at Las Vegas too. And this is going to be a pretty fun race. And I think they will go into Las Vegas with more momentum. And you talk about the battle in top field, the top 3 in points separated by just 13 points. Can you ask for a better championship battle than that right there?
You
don't
can't
get no
ask
better
for
than that.
anything better. Now the
Yeah,
question is now, which I've heard, is can they handle can Strasbaugh and Domagala handle the pressure?
Oh, for sure. And here's the reason why I say yes. Neil Strasbaugh been on Mike Green for a long time. He's been on some big time teams. He was on those teams with Tony Schumacher, in the early 2010s. He's been with he was on the Yankees dragster in the early 2000s. He was on that Yankees top field dragster. So he's been on some big time teams and some big time situations. And if you remember, if you go back to the beginning of the season, Leah Pruitt was very consistent. They didn't smoke the tires until like the 4th or 5th race into the season. So I think they can, rise to the occasion. I think they will. They won't buckle under the pressure. And it's gonna be very interesting because you got Neil Strasbaugh and you got Alan Johnson and you got Richard Hogan and Bobby Lagana, just all great crew chiefs across the board. But I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought about it when I heard those words from others. Look, they fought and they were under the gun in the regular season to get their program together so that they could be in the position that they are in right now. I mean, think about that. They did everything they could, even when they weren't performing so well in certain instances, to keep themselves in the hunt. So the pressure has already been placed on them because it took them. They had to make sure that they didn't make any mistakes to get to this point. So now it's just going out and doing what you do best and going out, reading the track correctly, putting in the right tune-up, and relying on your driver to execute and make plays. And I really think that, the combination they've thrown down, I mean, we've seen them go right to the top, especially with these type of conditions. I mean, they have been knocking it down with the likes of, the ones that we expect to do it. So I don't think this is going to be a problem. And I really think this, as much as I said, Doug, this was his best opportunity, I think this is also Leah's best opportunity. And when you saw her at the race end, I don't think she's ever been more focused than now. And that's the factor. That's the X factor. Like you said, whole shot at Steve Torrence.
And here's the thing. She should technically be points leader after losing the Doug on the whole shot in Reading, or was it she lost the Doug back-to-back races in Reading and in Charlotte in the semifinals. So just think, if she gets those 2 round wins, she technically, should be points leader right now. But like I said, she did her job in Dallas and got the points lead there. She should have a bigger points lead than what she has right now. Excuse me.
I agree.
Should say. But going back on Neil Strasbaugh, and like you said, the pressure and everything like that. When he was on the Yankees car in 2002 with Mike Green, you don't think there was pressure from George Steinbrenner and Hank Steinbrenner?
Oh,
George Steinbrenner. If you're not winning with George Steinbrenner, it's all heck, So you think when he was on with Tony Schumacher, with Don Schumacher, and in that car back in the day, there wasn't pressure? He'll be fine.
Yeah, he'll be fine. Now, you think this is a great one. So Tony's racing this weekend. They triple up.
There's a possibility. It's just everything with Tony Stewart Racing. It's just everything just comes together right in Las Vegas. Tony went to the final there last year in his first race. He wins it in the spring in the 4Y. Like, Matt Hagan's won back-to-back races at Las Vegas. It just seems like it always seems to come together for them at the Strip of Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Yeah, and I tell you, this has been probably one of the greatest. See, and we say this like in the last 4 years, 3 to 4 years, we've been saying that this is the greatest season. But as far as championship points coming down to the wire right now, I mean, funny car, top fuel, and almost pro stop. With the points, with the points and a half in Pomona, it's still a likelihood. But this has been something special. And in funny car, you can't count out this guy, Robert Hight. He's still there. He still has the ability, to knock it down. Now he's got to go rounds further than, Matt Hagan, but Capsy ain't done either. And then you got this guy,
BT3,
Bob Tasca III, who's, I think, is the X factor of all of this. As much as Matt has won in Vegas, if anybody can chop him down, it's Bob.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fatal four-way for this Nitro Funny Car Championship. I think Ron Capps is slightly on the edge. I think for both Robert and Ron, they have to gain here in Las Vegas. If they lose any more ground going to Pomona, I just unfortunately think it's over, because I don't think Hagan will go out early at Pomona. He did go out first round of Pomona last year, so there's the chance. But I just think that, hey, this is the time where, and I think Capps, they're not tripping at all, because remember last year, they went into Pomona with a little bit of a deficit, and what they do, they came back and won the championship. So I think if they could pick off at least 1 or 2 rounds here in Las Vegas, they'll be a little more comfortable going to Pomona. But like I said, they're on the edge. They need to gain ground. And Bob Tasker, who would have thought? Like, it's just, who would have thought when Mike Neff and John Schaefer announced they were leaving that team? I think we all counted out Bob Tasker. I mean,
I thought they were dead in the water. It was exactly a rebuild year.
Exactly. And with Todd Okahara having a struggling year, coming off with Schumacher, Aaron Brooks, kind of a journeyman. I've always been an Aaron Brooks fan. He's been with Schumacher. He's been with Don Perdone back in the day. He's been with Alan Albi. He's been with a lot of great teams. And so he knows how to tune a race car. And it was kind of like an odd pairing, Todd Okahara and Aaron Brooks. Like, where did that come from? Right. And what they've done this season is so amazing. And, Bob Tasker, the quickest run ever for a Ford, winning the races, had the points lead until he lost it in Dallas. So this is the best chance he's ever had to win a championship. I'm just curious to see how they respond in Las Vegas. We talked about, Neil Schwarzbaugh and Don Magala, if they'll break under the pressure. Let's see how Aaron Brooks and Todd Okahara responds. And Todd Okahara, he's been in some big time situations in his career. I think they step up as well. So it's a fatal four-way in Nitro Funny Car, but Robert Hight and Ron Capps, they have to gain. They have to.
Yeah. It's everybody's just too good. You know what I mean? And you got to get those little points in qualifying. I don't quite remember how many qualifying sessions we're having here, whether it's 3 or 4. Good. So you got to be on your game, because the weather's going to be there. Yes. So you got to be on your game. Everybody else is going to be. There can't be any misses. There can't be a Friday night hiccup and go out and I shake the tires or I overload it. No, you got to go down the racetrack and you've got to get every little point that you can. Especially Top Fuel and Funny Car, as close as those races are, you got to get every point that you can.
Hey, Top Fuel the point standings could change after qualifying.
Exactly.
It could change that's how close it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing right now. And then you
got
so
much pressure on everybody now.
Every point counts at this point, and it's like you said, from qualifying to final eliminations, it's crazy. And here's the thing too. So we talked about Robert Hight, right? So Robert Hight had that great year last year, career year, 8 wins, in 10 final rounds, I believe, or something like that. But, career year, 8 wins. And, he goes to Pomona. He goes to the final round in Vegas. He loses in the final, right? Loses in that final round. Right. And it's like, hey, we still got a comfortable lead going to Pomona. We just have to go and defend, right? Well, here's the thing. I've always said that in the countdown, it's all about race wins. You have to close the deal, because if you leave a round on the table here or there, that just leaves the door open just even more. And we saw that in Pomona. If Robert Hight, here's the thing, if Robert Hight would have won that final against Hagan at Las Vegas, just that round, if he would have won that round, he wins the championship. Because here's why. When Capps went into that final round against Cruz, remember, Cruz had that all-time great weekend last year at Pomona, right?
Yeah.
That round would have been for the championship, and Capps wasn't beating Cruz in that final round. So just think if Hight would have had that round back, that round would have been for the championship. So every round counts. Doesn't matter. You can't leave rounds on the table. And we saw this go back even to 2010, and that's how I remember this. Hagan, John Forrest, after the crash in 07, he's, not himself in 08, not himself in 09, has his all-time great year in 2010, a great comeback year. Well, what does John Forrest do? He loses first round in Reading, right? Loses the points lead to Hagan. Well, Hagan loses in the final round at Reading. He set the national record, took the points lead, went to the final round. Lost in the final round at Reading, lost in the final round at Vegas, the very next race, to John Forrest. Left the door open for Forrest. Forrest only went into Pomona 2 rounds out. That could have been 4 rounds rather than 2. Exactly. And what happened? Bob Tasker burns him down the starting line, takes Hagan out first round. John Forrest goes 2 rounds further than win the championship. So in the countdown, it's all about closing the deal. It's all about winning races. And so I think, whoever wins in Vegas is going to have a pretty good chance at Pomona.
I agree. And it's crazy because in pro stock, you have – yeah, I believe it's over too. And no, I believe it's over. And here's why.
They're going to Vegas.
I've been saying this forever. First of all, I like the strategy. I know they want to test the car and all of that, but let's not get it twisted. Any round that Jet can go in that car is going to help. the eventual champion.
For sure.
Okay, so and that's not a bad thing. I welcome them to own that, and just like the year before when the strategy worked out perfectly. I mean, it's hard. You can strategize in football and baseball and basketball, but it's hard to strategize in to do something like that in competition and drag racing. I mean, it doesn't happen that way all the time, and it happened. So relish in it. You know what I mean? There was one heck of an execution, but again, I think this thing's over. She is on another level when it comes to when there's blood in the water, she closes every time. And though that's what the greats do, whether you're talking about football, basketball, those ones that are just, above everyone else, they work harder, they stay up late, they do all this extra stuff that others don't do, and it pays off down at the end because mentally they're already prepared and they know what they have to do, and then they close. I don't see, it would have to be a catastrophe. That car would have to blow up on the starting line for her to not win this championship.
And let's not forget, Erica is the all-time winningest driver at Las Vegas. So
yeah, another track that she does well at.
There's that too. So, like I said, I'm not going to say it's over, but I would say this. If a KB Titan car is racing Erica round one, they're going to take a shot at the tree. I mean, they're going to take a shot at the tree and try to get her out early.
And they're likely going to lose. They're likely going to lose. I love this because this is how it was. Why you think John Force won a lot? Because he was putting pressure on people. And when they came up to the line, they knew that it was either I had to be good on the tree, I had to get him somewhere. And if I don't have no shot. And sometimes that's just a mental game. You likely do have a shot, but it's because of their winning ways and what they do to you. You have no choice. You're like, I have to take a shot. Even though a lot of these cars have the ability to run with her. You get what I'm saying?
No, I
love this stuff.
For sure.
This is where things get, this is where the championships are won and lost. And it's all a mind game now. She has them. It's like when a car becomes more consistent and starts winning rounds. They win a couple races, and you come into the third race and you match up against that car. You're like, well, I don't know what especially if they qualify well, I don't know what to expect. I have to be on my game here. And sometimes that causes people to red light or get a little bit out of the groove because they're trying to do too much. I love this type of racing.
And I'm not sure how many cars are entered in pro stock, this weekend. It gets a little harder when it's more than 16 cars and stuff like that. But, we've seen when it comes to Vegas and Pomona, cars, who are trying to, help out their teammates win the championship. They try to start playing that ladder game. They're saying, hey, instead of going top half, let's try to get 14, 15, 16 so we can race, the guy that we're trying to get out first round. So we could technically see that here this weekend. And that's a great comment right there from a coach. He says, call it what it is, a blocker. But I just want to say this too on that. It's like, half the field are dang elite cars. So it's like half the field are blockers.
They got a bunch of blockers.
It's a bunch of blockers. Jesus Christ. It's like freaking, how many elite cars is it now? Like 8, 9? Jesus.
Yeah.
And all of them are red. All of them are red.
Exactly. I mean, it's wild. It really is. But it makes it healthy. It makes it healthy for pro stock. And it really is back. It's been back, but it's nice to see, man. The competition is great. That's a class that my uncle really loved. Outside of funny car was pro stock, and we have some really, really good battles.
And here's the thing. So obviously Erica and Greg didn't have the greatest regular seasons. And, it was kind of weird. Matt Harford's, the Derek Kramers, the Troy Coughlin Juniors were the ones who really, Dallas Glenn's were the ones who really stepped up in the regular season. But number 1 and 2 in points right now is Erica Enders and Greg Anderson, both 5-time champions.
Right.
I'm pretty sure, I've said this a lot. The other one doesn't want to say, hey, you're a 6-time champion over me. But the cool thing about it too, and, I love the history of drag racing. Well, obviously we think Erica's going to win it if she holds on. Well, if she gets number 6, she ties Warren Johnson, my favorite pro stock driver of all time. So I think that's pretty cool. And it's Erica Enders going down she's already one of the best, but just solidifying that even more.
Yeah. And before I get you out of here, I like this question here. Do you think that what Ashley and Erica have done puts this countdown in kind of a question?
No, because postseason drag racing is not the same as regular season drag racing, and and it's a tough deal. It just at this point of the year, just the competition level raises. It's just the intensity raises, and people get tight. People get tight, and as far as like in Ashley's situation, 6 wins in the regular season, points leader. Just dominate the Mission Foods Too Fast Too Tasty challenge, but I just unfortunately have not been able to hit it here in the postseason. It's a tough deal, and I don't think so. It's just these Erica has proven she's a champion, so the fact that she's stepping up at the right time, stepping up into the season, just solidifies how great of a driver she is, and she lives for these moments. But it's a tough deal for Justin Ashley. This is the second year in a row where it looks like they're going to come up just short of the championship after having an amazing season. Tough deal, but hey, it is what it is. Everybody plays with the same rules, and unfortunately, they just didn't get it done.
That's drag racing.
Let
them know where they can find you at, brother.
Yeah, man. Just out here having fun. You can find me at American Hot Rod Entertainment on Instagram, and American Hot Rod ENT on Instagram, American Hot Rod Entertainment on Facebook. You can go to competitionplus.com, see all my writing. Bobby's trying to turn me into a writer, so it's been a great journey to go down. And just want to thank Bobby Bennett for everything he's done for me and helped me, do what I do here. And so, and if you guys want to, stop by Competition Plus, American Hot Rod, YouTube and Facebook Sunday night. We're going to recap the Vegas race and get this thing set the stage for Pomona in a few weeks. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, nobody does it better. You gotta give the respect to where the respect is due, and nobody does it better than Competition Plus. I love what they do, and I'm proud of you, dude. From a guy who sent me a video.
Yo, I tell everybody this. So here's the thing: I'm never home at this time, and I know you got to go. Right? I just want to say this real quick.
No,
I'm never home at this time, because I'm always at work. But when Dujane Bland, Dave W, or Monday Morning Racer calls to do a show, you get home to do that show. So I'm happy. I'm honored to be on the Notbland Show. Like I said, we've had you on Inside the NHRA a lot, so it's an honor to come here on the Notbland Show. And for people who don't know, Lee, I met Lee at Pomona. He was one of the first ones I ever met in person. I met him at Pomona 2019. But the first person I ever sent any work to was Dujane Bland. I sent him my Antron Brown 2012 video, first I ever. So it's been it's been a great start to a great friendship and great working with you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I every time I see you do more and more, I can't be more proud. Thank you, AJ. Appreciate it, man. We just try to, like I said, like our slogan is, no drama, no spin, just telling it like it is. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's been wild. And Monday Morning Racer is the reason why I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm.
He encouraged me to do it, so here we are.
and I say this: when I first made my channel. And I made a video, and I'm like, because again, I met Lee at Pomona, and I made a video, and he goes, dude, why don't you tell me you make videos? And I'm like, I didn't think you cared. I think you're this big time content creator. Who cares? And he didn't care. He started sharing my stuff and promoting my stuff and really helped me out. So great dude, Monday Morning Racer.
Indeed. Well, this ain't the last time, brother. We'll have you back on again.
For sure. Everybody's coming on for Pomona, so just know that. Everybody's coming on for Pomona. So
I'm already blocked out. I got you.
For sure.
All right, brother.
Thank you.
Later. Man, great conversation. And this great conversation is going to continue. We're going to talk some NFL. We might even talk a little NBA. My guy, Jaleel Lewis, he is the host of the It's Not 1999 Anymore podcast. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, my God, man? Man, I'm seeing your platform and all that. I see how it's set up. I'm like, my God, dudes, and they doing it big time, man. I love to see it, man. I'm happy to be here.
Man, I don't like going half. And it's taken a while. I know I have been saying it for a long time that the show is going to come out, and I just wanted it to be right. So, yeah, always got to be right when you come out. And this NFL, man, these officials.
Oh man, it's crazy.
I mean, I've been saying this since 2016 about these officials, but you can't be doing this when you got betting involved.
That's a fact. I never looked at it like that, but yeah.
I mean, the Miami game comes to mind. They had a couple calls. You see the fish hook on the face mask that didn't get called. 10 penalties to no penalties. I don't know any team in the league that's perfect at all. Yet they didn't have not one penalty. But I mean, you can go back and look at the tape. I mean, everybody says there's holding on every down, but man, come on, dog. Like, really? No penalties?
Nah, it's crazy, man. Look, I've been watching football for the better part of my whole life, and I haven't seen nothing like that in my life. You know, where a team is perfect. You know, they get no flags and nothing like that. And it just goes to show you that, you know, we got a lot of blind bats as referees here. And it's just crazy to me because the NFL don't care. And they have shown us that since that call in the NFC Championship game with the Rams and the Saints, where there was a flat out robbery in broad daylight, you know, and they ain't make an effort to fix that.
Nope.
And I just finished talking about it. It's funny because literally my show just ended and I ended off talking about this exact topic. And I said that the NFL needs to stop simping over Taylor Swift and focus on the bigger and better things like fixing the daggone officiating because it's costing us games. There's no reason why a Super Bowl should end with a DPI.
Yeah.
None. No reason why. So, yeah, the NFL better get its act together. Otherwise, we're going to see teams getting robbed in broad daylight again. And I don't think the NFL want that.
No. And like I said, when you got betting involved, you know, you're costing folks money. And you got to call it down the middle. And my biggest thing is, especially with these referees in this era, the problem is that back in the day, at least you knew if a ref was calling it one way, you knew it from the jump how he was going to call it. So you know you can't bump, you can't press, you can't do your little hand job because he's going to call it. Now you go one way, and then by the end of the game, they calling something that they never called the whole entire game. Like, where's the consistency? That's the problem. No consistency. And I don't think having full-time refs changes that. But I do believe that this league has too many rules that overlap and mean the same thing. Like, you know, illegal contact is pass interference. Like, we gotta have that type of a separate rule. Illegal contact is pass interference. But we had to gum up the works with that. We gummed up the works with figuring out what a catch was for the longest time. It's like the NFL does a lot of things to shoot themselves in the foot, but it's apparent that across the league, officials don't truly understand the rule book and the way it's supposed to be officiated.
And I think a lot of this is going to be masked by the term bad officiating. But I also think there's a way in which the officiating is getting directed to certain teams in a way, right? For example, the Chiefs is one team that I have to bring up. Look, I'm not a fool. I've been watching the game for a long time. And Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. He's the GOAT. And I'm never going to take that away from my boy. You see him on my wall. That's my favorite quarterback of all time. And he's the GOAT. But I remember a play in particular, AFC Championship game. I forgot which year. We've been there so many times. I forgot which year. But we played the Jaguars. And we scored a touchdown, and there was a referee celebrating with the Patriots. Okay, yeah. I remember that, and I still remember that to this day. So we can't act, especially when we see the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game of last year, where they got robbed, the Bengals, and then in the Super Bowl, you end the Super Bowl with a DPI. I always think with refs, they don't call certain things in certain situations unless it's really egregious.
Yes.
Right? And it was no loyalty in that. It was no honor in that in the Super Bowl.
No.
Flag. But we see the discrepancy though, right? Against the Jets. They worried about Taylor Swift. Oh, the Chiefs are 2-0 as Swifties, where the Jets get robbed. So although, yes, the officiating is bad, I do think the Chiefs are getting away with murder. And I don't think it's a coincidence.
No, I don't think it is either. And you see that with a lot of teams that are favored at the moment. Never a good look. And I just can't deal with that. And it's not something that really enhances the game. It takes away from it, really, more than anything else, I believe.
Yeah, I do. I agree 100%. So that definitely needs to get nicked out. And it was other games, the Steelers and the Rams, the Kenny Pickett, yard that he ran for, he was short clearly. And you had the Colts and the Browns, 2 flags back to back. Like now we really losing our minds here. Yeah. And the NFL really got to get it fixed out for sure.
Most definitely. The Bills, they continue to be touted as, and I've made this mistake too, as contenders. Yet every year they continue to do the same thing. Are they contenders? Are really contenders? Or are they pretenders?
I think they are in the middle, and I really want to give an answer here, but it's hard for me to really call them outright contenders after, how they lost to New England. But I think we also have to factor the eye test. That's one thing. And they haven't been playing well. They haven't been firing on all cylinders, right? The offense, it hasn't been as explosive. But there's a combination of, okay, you look at the Jaguars and the loss, right? And the Jaguars defense has been playing well. They stopped the Chiefs offense. So there's a combination of that. Defenses in the league in general are playing much better than the offense in general in the league. And that's going to show us that, yes, at one point, the explosion, the offense was taking over the league, and we got away from defense wins championships. But now we are coming back to that because the defense had to adapt on the fly. Yeah. They were being literally taken out of the game in a way, in the sense that you can't hit the quarterback, right? Yeah. How do you guard a wide receiver? Everything is PI, and then these PIs are spot fouls. It's not like college 15 yards, it's spot fouls. And then you take in consideration that, and then they had to find a way to survive, and they brought out this too high shell safety look, stopping the Chiefs offense, and the Chiefs have to adapt, and they did. They adapted. They, a more methodical, short passing game, get the ball out, get to your spot, and that's how they're still able to move. But other teams haven't figured that out yet. Yeah. Josh Allen loves the shot play. He loves to take the shot down the field. He has to learn the art of patience. He has to take and watch film of Patrick Mahomes. With all due respect, I understand he wants to compete against Patrick Mahomes, and he feels like he's better than Patrick Mahomes, but he really needs to watch film of Patrick Mahomes and how he's patient and allows the game to open up instead of trying to throw the ball deep and fit it into triple coverage. So I think they need to do a better job of adjusting, and the play calling by Ken Dorsey needs to be better. But also, yes, they lost to New England. New England is a divisional foe, so they know how to play the Buffalo Bills. Matter of fact, the 2 wins that New England has is against division foes, the Jets and the Bills. Yeah. So that's why I'm in the middle, because the eye test doesn't scream that this Bills team is legit, but they still have talent. They still have a talented quarterback, and you take in consideration they lost to a division foe this weekend.
I can respect that. Josh Allen too much to me throws too many ill-advised, wild interceptions. He's got 7 on the year, and he had 14 last year. We're walking into week 8, and he's got 7 already. I agree. He's not patient, but again, when I look at the tape of Josh year after year, it's just like Bill Parcells says, you are what you are until you prove to me otherwise. And to me, they're not totally out of being contenders, but they're definitely borderline frauds in all of this. I mean, repeatedly over and over again against teams they should be beating and dog walking, they play down to. And then when they have games where they play against some elite talent, they play up to that. You got to be week to week. You can't play down to lesser teams, and they do it repeatedly. He turns the ball over so much and makes ill-advised throws against teams that they should be blowing out. Now, whether that's play calling and along with that lack of patience or just his stubbornness, it can't keep happening, but yet it does. So until they prove to me that they can do otherwise, I can't buy them. And we go back to the playoffs. You know, at first I was like, you know what? Wilkes got shafted. He didn't do a good job. He played back and played, you know, prevent defense and got beat by Kelsey. Okay. But they repeatedly put themselves in bad positions where late turnovers, usually by the quarterback, puts the defense in a bad situation, and they end up giving up a score because he's turning the ball over too much. And he turns it over at the most inopportune time until he proves to me that he can do and play within the confines and not turn it over when your team needs you. I can't buy the Bills.
Yeah, I just think, man, when you look at the Bills and you look at the league, really it's a week-to-week league. And that's more evident when you look across the league and you see a team like the 49ers who, you know, after they dismantled the Cowboys, we were like, oh, my God, they can't be beat. They're legitimate Super Bowl contenders. Yeah. And then they lose back-to-back games that they should not be losing. You should not lose to a third-string quarterback and call yourself a good football team. You shouldn't lose to Kirk Cousins in prime time.
Yeah.
Okay? And call yourself a good football team. So we see these lapses with these teams across the league. Even Jalen Hurts, for example, he has league-leading interceptions this year. But they're able to overcome that. Why? Because they have such a great team, and he bounces back. That's one of his best attributes. But his team allows him the ability to bounce back with those long, sustained drives and creativity, something that the Bills lack. I think it's a combination of, you know, quarterback and play calling and waking up. Wake up. Hello, wake up. And I think if they do wake up, they still could be a threat. But I don't think they should be a team that we classify as, they the team to beat in the AFC, clearly.
Yeah. And talking about this team and talking about the AFC, the Raiders, so much talent. Josh McDaniels goes and gets his quarterback. I felt Carr should have stayed, but whatever. You wanted to go get who you wanted, and that's Jimmy G. Never believed in him ever. And yet this team continues to be bad. But you know what? Josh McDaniels, in every situation he's been in as a head coach, the teams have been bad. So it can't be the teams. To me, he has to be simply just a bad coach, right?
I think he is. And I think that's more than evident. Like, some coordinators are meant to be coordinators. Not every coordinator is a leader of men. Just because you know how to do things from an X's and O's perspective doesn't make you a leader of men. Josh McDaniels has shown us throughout his coaching career that he is not a leader of men. And we saw that a couple years ago, and we are seeing that now. When he took that job, you know, with the Denver Broncos, it's literally history in the making when you think about how the Derek Carr situation ended. Because when he took that job with Denver, they had Jay Cutler, and they were 7-9 and 8-8, something to that effect, where they were a fringe playoff team, but they missed the playoffs barely. And Josh McDaniel was supposed to be the missing piece that take the team to the next leap. Yeah. And what he did, he ruined his relationship with Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler got traded, and guess what? He got fired eventually and ended up back with Bill Belichick. The same thing with Derek Carr. They were doing just fine. They made the playoffs with no number one wide receiver. They didn't have Devontae Adams.
Nope.
Okay? All they had was Henry Ruggs catching cases on the third. Okay? Henry Ruggs the third catching cases on the daggone third. That's all they had. They had no number one wide receiver, and they made the playoffs. He was supposed to be the missing piece, and guess what? They didn't even make the playoffs with Derek Carr and all that. They took the step back, and now once again he kicked Carr to the curb like he did Jay Cutler, and we are seeing really that he's not a great coach. And now the question for me this offseason was not can Josh McDaniels, for example, when you talk about Russell Wilson and Sean Payton, the question was, can Sean Payton fix Russ? But to me, it was, can Jimmy G fix McDaniels? Because he called Jimmy G because Jimmy G knows how to operate his system, according to him.
Exactly.
Okay, but guess what? To no avail. This guy looked like a placeholder more than a game manager. So he's taking steps down. He was a game manager, and now he's a placeholder. And now we come back to Josh McDaniels, and we know that he's not a good coach.
Yeah, I don't know how he even got this job. It's garbage, and the Raiders are in a bad position because of him. Yet they have so much talent that's being wasted at the moment because the guy just isn't a head coach. He is a Norv Turner kind of guy. Norv was a great offensive coordinator. He wasn't the best coach, and that's okay. But you got to know your role, and Josh don't know his role. You know, and it's hurting this Raiders team. To skip over to a little bit of basketball here, and somebody from the outside, you're a Knicks fan. I want to start with the Lakers first. You know, had somebody tell me it's just one game and it's just the first game of the season, but it's the first game of the season against the defending champs, the same people that you were in the playoffs with. And they come out and they look exactly the way they did last year in the playoffs. AD, who's supposed to be taking the keys to this Ferrari because LeBron is stepping back. This is his to run.
Yep.
He's the passenger now, and he's still acting like he's the guy sitting in the back seat. Had 0 points in the third quarter, I believe. So he's MIA, which has happened a lot last year. The defense wasn't really up to par. They were able to get back in the game and make it respectable, but they were getting cooked in the first half. This is not a coincidence, right? This is a habit.
I agree. It's a habit. And I think when you talk about professional athletes that I've seen the last couple of years, right, when they are in a crossroads, they tend to go into darkness. You know, Aaron Rodgers being one of those guys, locking himself up in the dark for a couple of days to figure out if he really wants to play the game again. You know, I'm a boxing fan. Anthony Joshua just locked himself up into darkness to kind of get a read on what he should do with his future career. And I think after this performance last night, Anthony Davis needs to leave the team and go into darkness himself and figure out if he's more than capable of leading this team as the alpha, okay, and figure out the sport of basketball is what he really wants. Because I remember comments a couple years ago where he said, I barely picked up a basketball. Maybe you should pick up a basketball more often, and we won't have episodes like we had last night. And when you talk about LeBron James, right, there's no coincidence here. The Nuggets beat them 4 times last year. And after game 1, because a lot of people make excuses for the Lakers. I guess they are the NBA's America's team. I guess that's what they are. So people find excuses. After game 1, even though the Nuggets lost, the biggest story was not the Nuggets winning. It was, the Lakers found something that they could exploit because they narrowed the gap. They came back and they fell short in the fourth quarter. Now they're going to win game 2. That was a narrative, right? And guess what? They got swept. And the same thing here. Excuses. It's one game. No, it's not one game. Okay? They have no answer for Jokic. And then when you look at all the depth pieces that they added, not one of those guys made an impact in this game when LeBron James sat down on the bench.
Exactly. But I'm crazy. You know what I mean? They have to get that right, and it has to get right before the playoffs, or it's going to be the same thing. Because, again, my biggest problem is, yes, it's one game, but it's a game against the same folks you were playing in the playoffs that won the championship, and they cooked you with pick and roll because LeBron couldn't get out there to play defense, and he was shooting ill-advised threes. And Anthony Davis was coming up MIA in a lot of spots in the game. Can't have that at all. Period. Now we look over to a team that has added a guy in Dame. Giannis is a guy who works hard. He seems to be very happy with what they've done. My problem is, though, I believe they did take some losses with that trade. There's some guys that there's guys that they lost that are role players. Those are the guys that come in and give you those grinding minutes. That they come in and they do the dirty work. Do you think this team will get it together? Because we know it's about chemistry, and that's going to take some time. Can they get that ball rolling a little bit earlier? I believe they make the playoffs, but can they make noise to be in that finals to go and play a championship?
I think it's pros and cons, this move, right? Because when you think about it, the Bucks last year, they were a team that I thought dropped the egg. They shouldn't have lost the first round series to the Miami Heat, and they were a good team. You had the core of Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, Giannis, and you had your bench and role players that contributed to the team winning the chip a couple years ago. And you fractured that. You kind of, tampered with that to get some more firepower. Now, I just find it ironic, and I think Boston is the big winner here because that trade allowed Boston to get what they need, which is a playmaking guard.
Yeah.
Okay, a playmaking point guard, which they got in Drew Holiday, while filling the void that they lost with Marcus Smart. You actually helped them got better.
I agree.
Now you give them, you make a move for Dame and you give them a Dame stopper. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. I agree. It's tough. I mean, I guess you gotta, I don't know. I think you gotta find some way. I really do. I agree with you on that. They took some losses.
They did.
I'm a Dame guy, and he can really change the trajectory on the floor for everyone. But the question is, when they go and try to take away Giannis, and Dame can create for other folks and kick out, are those kick out guys going to be able to knock down those open threes consistently?
Yeah, and when you think about it, like you got a guy in Drew Holiday, Boston do, that can guard the backcourt. And I remember a couple years ago, the series with the Pelicans and the Blazers. I'm not sure. I think the Blazers got swept, if I'm not mistaken. I could be corrected if I'm wrong. So we know Drew Holiday can guard Damian Lillard. And by you making that deal, you actually assisted Boston, who was kind of lost there. They lost a lot of depth as well.
They did.
So we have two teams that lost a lot of depth for upfront talent. And we got to see if that pays dividends, because I'm not sure it will, but I'm more confident in Boston than I am Milwaukee. But I would say this about the Dame move, because obviously you're adding a bona fide scorer, one of the best shooters in the game. I do think it could help them in the fourth quarter, but their defense is taking a hit and their depth is taking a hit as well.
Yeah. I need to see Dame do it on a consistent basis. And I know there's a lot of things he does that can make up for that defense. But the question is, do they have the guys on the bench to be able to make that happen and fill the void that they left and gave away to the Boston Celtics? Lastly, though, I want to talk about your Knicks, because I feel like this is a young team. They have done things to build this team, and I believe they have an opportunity to really start to capitalize and start to see the hard work and the things that they've done start to pay dividends here. The East is wide open. We know that. Outside of Boston, the East is wide open. What do you think your outlook is for this team, and can they really get it together and be a viable force in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think for me, being a Knicks fan, it's been a long journey. Okay. Like my guy, I forgot who was singing. I think it was Sam Cooke. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. That's how I feel being a Knicks fan. It's been a long time coming, but I do see the light. And I think last year was a step. We overexceeded expectations, right? And we won a playoff series. That was my goal, right? Matter of fact, I wasn't even thinking that, but when it became apparent that we was going to make the playoffs, my then short-term goal was to win a series, and we did. And I think my goal right now is to expand upon that. I think we should be thinking Eastern Conference Finals at the very least. Take another step. I don't want us to take a step back like we did a couple years ago, where we got almost swept. We lost in 5 games against the Hawks, and we didn't make the playoffs. We got to continue to make steps and take steps forward. And I think this team right here is a hard-fought team. We are not the sexiest team. Sometimes we don't knock down our shots consistently, but we play hard on a night-to-night basis, and we don't miss a lot of games, and we have depth, and we have grit. A lot of these guys, we talked about it, the Bucks and the Celtics, yeah, they got the talent, but they don't have the depth anymore, and they don't, in some ways, have the grit anymore. So we offer that. So I do think we can knock one of those teams out if we had to because of that. But, I have to be reasonable. I'm not a delusional Knicks fan here. I'm just hoping we get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and I'm hoping that, we are patient with the roster we have, but if the opportunity presents itself for us to get a big star talent, then we make the right decision. We exercise our options and be smart about who we acquire and who we trade in the process.
Yeah, that's really what it's all about in the NBA, especially when you're, things are changing all the time, and you got to be smart about how you move and shake, especially in the free agent market. Let them know where they can find you at, Lil.
Absolutely, man. Y'all can find me on Real Lil TV, on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Instagram as well. And we give a lot of good takes. My podcast is not 1999 anymore, aka 99 Pod. And on God, we do what we do.
Yeah, you guys do an excellent job.
I appreciate it.
And, the things that you guys talk about, you guys got a great panel. I've been on there several times. Love what you guys do. And, keep doing your thing, brother.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to doing this again in the future.
Yes, sir. This won't be the last time.
All right, my God.
All right, brother.
All right, bro.
Man, great conversation and great responses from you guys. Really appreciate you guys commenting. I'm going to go ahead. We're supposed to have the Commanders talk, but I'm just going to sum it up here as we close out this show. Start out, and here we are. 3 of their 4 losses have been abysmal. The bottom line is this. Offensively, Eric Bieniemy needs to do something to help his line. And if that means you have to bring in an offensive line combination that's different, you got to find some way to protect Sam Howell. That's number 1. Number 2, you can't be arrogant. Don Martindale of the Giants came out the week before and said they were split. Well, obviously, because other teams were doing that too. And you decided not to prepare for that and continue to do what you were doing and get your quarterback hit. He's been hit and sacked 4 times. Unacceptable. They play the Eagles this week. If they play the defense that they played, they have an opportunity to be in this game. But the bottom line is this. If they don't change their ways and don't get creative with the running game, if they don't find ways for that front 4 or that offensive line to block, it's going to be the same old song. And no, I don't feel like there should be any type of trade or any type of movement with those guys. This coaching staff ain't going to be here at the end of the year. Ron is on his way out. And to me, he should have got the axe this week. But that's just me, though. I'm not the owner. But I don't see them winning this week. And until they can prove it, it's night-night. There's no way that we get this done again. So the fact of the matter is this. It's going to be a long season. So you might as well get buckled up and ready for it. And until I see them make changes, this is what you're going to get from here on out until someone decides to stand up and do the right thing. But personally, I think Ron's voice is lost in that locker room. And after the comments from Jonathan Allen, that's rough. Hope it can show up on the field. But if we see more of what we saw last week, guys, it's going to be a long season. Well, I thank you guys for listening to this show. You guys have been great. The response has been great. And we're going to keep doing it. Again, if you can follow us on our YouTube, it's at The Notbland Show. At The Notbland Show on Twitter. Go over there. Subscribe. And comment. Enjoy. And share it with others. Again, thank you so much. This has been The Notbland Show. I am Dujane Bland. We are powered by sportsjourney.com. Good night.